came with hope. So we took him. 'Cause in order to keep order, hope can't live here. Only fear will suffice. Welcome to Violet.
I genuinely appreciate ComicKen. He is in this space, our little art commentary space that seems to be growing and stuff like that. Um, he's like kind of like a fresh, innocent light. Like he doesn't get into like drama and stuff like that, right? He's kind of just, he manages to express himself without coming off like an a-hole sometimes like I do, right? Um, I really appreciate the guy. I always go to his channel and he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. I enjoy it, and his work Saintly looks really, really good. I need to jump on reading that. But that being said, he put up this video that's I started drawing manga for fame and money. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. As long as that's not your like, I don't understand this notion of why can't it be like both? Like you have a passion for drawing manga and stuff and telling stories but you can also want the fame and the money. Like I don't like how people keep trying to make it seem like it's a either or instead of it can be both. So that being said, I want to kind of just react to his video about him starting drawing manga for fame and money. So let's do that. Both of us rocking hats. I personally, well, this is what was this hat? This hat was before before the logo came off the front of it. It was a Puma. It was a Puma hat actually. But anyway, let me make myself a little bigger here. But yeah, totally respect this guy. He always stays out of the fray. I use my name. You see how I did that? Let me turn this camera so I'm actually in the shot. But yeah. So let's watch what he has to say.
Completely 100% honest. I got into making manga, specifically manga, for the potential fame and money that I could get from it.
Okay.
So let me explain. I'll tell you
Yep.
what got me into it specifically, and then I'll tell you about the path that I found when I realized you didn't have to go the traditional route to
Mm.
making manga in Japan. So when I was a kid, like my parents, they wanted me to be a doctor. And for years I would tell them like, hey, yeah, I'll be a doctor, I'll be a pediatrician and all that stuff. But
You know what's so funny about that? My parents wanted me to do that too. Like my mom, she worked in hospital in the surgical. She worked in surgery. No, she worked at the yeah, she did work in surgery. She worked in surgery. My father, he was a psychiatric advisor. So he worked in um a mental ward when when I was growing up. He worked he was one of those people that took care of psych patients and like mentally challenged psych patients, all of those, they were he would talk to them, and he worked at what's called Shepherd Pratt, stuff like that. That being said, they wanted me to go more medical. Now, ironically, even though I went to college for graphic design, um, I am currently in a medical field. I do work in the surgery right now. So, they got their wish, whether I wanted to go there or not. But yeah, let's go.
my love for drawing never ceased. I was always drawing on my pads, always like
Mm, same
coloring,
here.
finding color pencils. I would pick up random mechanical pencils or discarded pens or whatever on the floor of whatever school I was attending, and then I would just be like, awesome.
Yeah.
I got a Dixon Ticonderoga pencil, like the best drawing pencil I could find, and I would collect them in this little bag called my magical bag of tricks, and
I
it would
wonder
just
if
be a bunch
that's.
of pencils that I collected on the ground.
I wonder
That's
if
how
that is
bad
his
I wanted
original bag, though.
to draw.
That'd be funny if it was.
And this really like kicked into high gear the first time I saw Naruto. And Naruto for me was the thing that completely changed my perception of what storytelling could be and what it could feel like.
You know what my first one was that really did that for me? Tenchi Moyu. I want to be. Oh, I wish I saved like all the sketches I did of like Ayeka and I can't Ryoka. Jeez, it's been so long. I can't remember the characters. I know I did a lot of Ryo-Oki stuff. I think I have a drawing of Ryo-Oki like on my computer recently that I drew in like a fan art piece or something. But I used to be obsessed with Tenchi. I was like, man, he got all these girls that want and he's just, dorky. He was like a dork like me. And I'm like, he, he's got all these girls that want him, and he's a straight up dork. And it's like, but yeah, when I saw Tenchi Moyu, that's what got me into anime at first. And then, obviously Dragon Ball Z, Toonami, that Toonami block, everybody. That was like the thing. But Tenchi Moyu was my shiznit for a while.
It turned my world upside down. Like, where before I was just watching simple cartoons like Looney Tunes or Ed, and Eddie or Pokemon on Cartoon Network or Disney Channel or Nickelodeon. But then once Naruto came into the scene, it just cut into my consciousness and it just carved into my consciousness and just blasted itself.
Oh gosh. Let's press that while that plays. You know what's funny? I never watched. Okay, this is done. I've never watched Naruto when it was on. Was it on our TV? Like what, Cartoon Network or something? I never watched it on TV per se. I've always caught the episodes online. So I never watched our American. I know that he says believe it a lot. I know that, but I never watched the American version that was on television. I always watched, and to this day, I still watch anime like online. I don't watch it on TV. Nope, I lied. Netflix. I do watch Record of Ragnarok, but and I tried to get into One Piece but I can't do it. I can't do over 1,000 episodes. I just can't do it. I can't put that investment in. But yeah.
And it was like, this is completely unlike anything you've ever seen before. And I was a kid that had never watched Dragon Ball, so I hadn't seen it before I saw Naruto. Naruto was the one where I was just like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, this is awesome. And
well, I don't know how old you are, but sir, that was like the cornerstone of freaking Toonami. And don't tell me you didn't watch Toonami. Don't you freaking tell me you did not watch Toonami. You better not tell me you didn't watch Toonami. Toonami was like everybody's breaking point.
And that was the first time I thought, I want to do this. Whatever this is, I want to do that. I want to make people feel how that made me feel with my own stories. And the only way I knew how to do that was through drawing. It was like, okay, at the most basic understanding, I know that what I'm looking at on the screen is a drawing. So I guess I'm just going to have to do that. It wasn't until middle school that my friends put me onto Shonen Jump, where I was looking at Naruto in a completely different light, where I was like, wait a minute, why is it in black and white, dude?
Yeah.
This isn't like the cartoon. This is something else. It's kind of weird.
How many people knew that Shonen Jump used to be sold in like your local grocery stores, and they were cheap? How many people knew that? I remember, yes, I used to see them, but I never bought them. I'm such a fake fan. I'm such a fake fan of stuff, I guess. But yeah, it used to be in Giant, and they used to sell them and some stuff like that. So I never bought a copy though, but I do remember seeing them when I was growing up. When I was growing up, okay. So when I was growing up, even though I saw Shonen Jump, I was heavily into Sonic the Hedgehog. When I was growing up, I was into Archie comics and Sonic the Hedgehog and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was my stuff. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So these humans doing things and making me like them, that wasn't a thing. It was all about the animal creatures for me. Until Tenchi changed everything.
Weird. Like, there's no color. What is this? And it told me it's called Manga, and it's made in Japan. And I was just like, so this is how it starts? And they're like, yeah, that's how Naruto started. It started off black and white in this magazine, and then they turn it into these little books, and then they turn it into cartoons. And because I was also playing like Ninja Storm at the time.
What was my first manga that I ever bought? Holy crap. It's just hitting me. What was the first one that I ever bought? I feel like it was like a Kingdom Hearts manga. I would get a lot of Tokyo Pop. I know that. So I had anybody heard of Alicino? Probably not. It only had like 3 volumes and then they canceled it. Um a Midnight Opera? Probably not. Because that also stopped after like 3 or 4 volumes. I'm trying to, what is a well-known one that I had? Oh my gosh. I did have a Dragon Ball Z. I never completed that selection. I did have a Death Note. I never completed it. Um, as you know, I got a lot of Saturday AM stuff. Um, I did have Kingdom Hearts. I had a couple of Kingdom Hearts ones. Yeah. I had what's the high school one? The people fighting in the tournament in the high school. What the hell was that one? I can't remember the name. It's very old. It had a girl. At Claymore. At Claymore. Um, I feel like I didn't buy that many books, and that is terrible to say. I feel like I just kind of read them online.
Or maybe that wasn't until a little bit later. But I also realized that it could be turned into video games as well. And I was just like, Oh my goodness. How well, what's the money like if they're able to to do all this stuff? And is it one person doing all that by themselves, or like how is all this stuff made? And in school, like during computer lab when I was like 16, I would be looking up the net worths of different like creators like Akira Toriyama, or like top 10 richest manga artists in the world, and all that kind of stuff, just so that I would know, like, okay, so they're just making cartoons, but you're able to also make money off of this. You're able to make a living off of this, and not only a living, but you're able to get rich off of it if you do like a hugely popular story. And I'm like, oh, so that's all I have to do. I'll just make a hugely popular story, and then I'll be a millionaire, just like the Naruto creator. Sweet. Okay, I'll just do that.
Wrong. 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 I bet it was a rude awakening when you found out that wasn't the option, even if you are in the industry.
And that's about the time that Bakuman came out. And I was just like, okay, this will be my manual.
Never read
This
it.
will be my Bible that'll show me exactly how to do what the Naruto creator did, what Akira Toriyama did, and how far I need to go to create my manga so that I can get $1 million franchise and show my parents once and for all that I don't have to be a doctor to be well off. And that's all I was trying to do. That's all I was trying to prove. Was like, okay, that's why I need to learn Japanese right now. I need to learn Japanese right now. I need to learn how to draw and how to write and how to do it both really well, so that I can make people feel the same emotions that I felt while watching Naruto. Like, I understood on a nonverbal level that it took storytelling and writing skills to be able to do what Naruto was doing. I just didn't know how. Like, and that's what I was trying to figure out throughout my entire teens, throughout my entire like 20s. I was just trying to figure out, okay, how do I tell story on the level of Naruto or One Piece and get it out to enough people so that I can make enough money to survive. And again, it came back to proving to my parents that I could do this for a living.
I think we all do that. Because my parents, like I said, they wanted me to be in the medical industry. And I wanted to be an artist, like a full-time artist. Like, my intention to go into college was to be in fine arts and build up my skill. But they convinced me to do graphic design because they were like, you can do advertising and, have set pay. You won't have to try to get your art somewhere. But it was like I had been 1 or 2 years into selling art at conventions. I would go to Otakon, and I wanted to get better, because if you seen my other video where I showed my Deadlock cover and some of the pages, you know that my skill was not as good. So I was like, I want to go and be better and do fine arts and get my skill up, and then tackle this comic thing again. And then I caved, and my parents were like, do graphic design. I was like, I guess I'll do graphic design. And looking back, I didn't need college. That's a subject for another day. But graphic design did help me because I'm starting to notice, like, people when they draw stuff, they don't know design very well. They know how to make cool pictures, but as far as like making it look wonderful, like the flow of the page, how colors interact with each other, et cetera, et cetera. They don't know that, and it kind of takes away from their art. But you always I did do that in a sense where it was like I want to show my parents that this art thing can be a thing. And you know, like I said, I'm in the medical industry now, but I still do sell my art. So it's like, a full-time job and a part-time job. And I'm hoping, one day it'll reverse and it'll be full-time artist, part-time there because insurance. Okay. It's very hard to take on insurance as just a full-time artist, eh, stuff like that. So I'd rather just have a part-time job where I can use that money to cover insurance than to just get my own insurance as a fully full self-employed artist. But one day it'll flip-flop. But for now, part-time artist. But anyway,
And eventually I went to the Kubert School for to learn even more about the craft of making comics and that kind of thing. For whatever reason, the going to Japan didn't materialize. I
hey,
had signed up for at
hey man. Hey man. It ain't nothing new. I'm there too, bro. I'm there too. I was actually trying to go this year and then bills hit me and I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should take care of bills first and get my finances in order before I go on this wonderful vacation. But it'll materialize. But there's a lot of people who haven't gone to Japan. So fun fact, I did apply to be an English teacher there, an English learning language teacher. And I got up to New York to work with the company. And we had 3 rounds to prove ourselves. And after the third round, they would hire you. Well, I didn't make it past round 2. They said, this is a sidebar. So first round, I killed it. I knocked it out of the park. Second round, I messed up because you're literally supposed to teach them like they're first graders, even though I was going to be teaching like adults. You have to teach them like first graders. So my example was I was trying to teach above and below, and my lesson was too complicated. So whether it was my presentation of it or whether, above and below was too complicated to understand, I don't know. But I chose the wrong subject matter and I chose to present it in the wrong way. And they were like, "Thank you for your time, but we're not going to pick you because that's not what we wanted." So it is what it is. And after that, my dream of Japan kind of just died for a long time. But or living in Japan, just living in Japan in general. And now I still want to visit. I've always wanted to visit, but another thing is this. I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent and not reacting to this. Sometimes you realize you have to just go places by yourself, right? Um, so it's like I kept waiting and waiting, and like my friends were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to Japan. We're gonna go to Japan. We're gonna go to Japan. It's gonna happen." And then it never happened. No one ever saved up any money. No one ever like initiated plans or anything. So it's like at this point, I'm no longer waiting for someone to go with me. I'm I'm just gonna go by myself, right? Because it's like, and you'll notice as you grow up, it'll be a lot of things where you're just gonna have to say, screw it, I'm just gonna do it on my own. Because, a lot of people talk and say they want to do stuff, but few people are actually about that action. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk on that.
least 2 manga contests in the past. One of them I missed the deadline for, and then the other, they just didn't accept my work. And the work that I submitted to the second one was a black and white version of my first webcomic, Air Rider.
Oh, very
But
cool.
it just wasn't the vibe they were looking for, you know? Like, it was a decent enough story, but
It looks
it
cool.
wasn't a
art's
story
amazing.
that the
It's very
Japanese
nice.
public would accept, let's say. It just didn't ring true to them, I don't think.
I love them poses. You have
When
a
I
lot
really
of
thought about
character
it,
in your
I was
characters.
training more than just doing things in black and white. I wanted to color my art. I wanted to make it in the specific aesthetic I had in my mind so deeply for my entire teens and 20s. And it wasn't until I saw the Scott Pilgrim movie that I realized, wait a minute, you could get a movie based on a comic in America?
Dun, dun, dun.
That doesn't make any sense. And I thought the only way to get a big franchise
Hold on.
type of thing was to do a manga in Japan.
Really though, growing up, you had all those X-Men, those Fox X-Men movies. You had Spider-Man movies. They came from comic books. Blade, Steel. There's a lot of stories that came from comics growing up. So really, Ken, you didn't know that American comics could really, you sure about that? You sure about that?
But Brian Lee O'Malley was making a black and white comic with a pretty
Sin
simple
City,
style, which he says
Watchmen.
was based off of Ron Mahaf for Oni Press, and you could do the same thing in America. And once I learned about that, I later found out about once I learned about that and I played the Scott Pilgrim video game, I was just like,
Mortal Kombat.
you know what? Maybe there's
Well,
a
it wasn't a
chance
comic,
that
but you get
I
it.
don't have to go to Japan to do these things. Like, I don't have to go to Japan to make my work over there. I could do it over here and get the same result or similar result. And later on, I started finding out about things like Has Been Hotel, which started off as a webcomic. I found out about things like Lackadaisy, and most recently, Invincible, which I had already known about for years, but just seeing the massive success that has blown up into has shown me, like, okay, good story can be told anywhere. All it takes is marketing and salesmanship to put that stuff out there so that enough of an audience can read it and find out about it, to where you can develop animation projects, you can develop video game projects, you can develop merchandise from your own work if you keep at it long enough and if you make it high quality enough.
Yeah.
And even if you don't end up doing any of those things, you can still just make a decent living off of your work itself if you've made it for a long enough time.
Yes.
At a quality that is acceptable to the readership that you've developed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to reach the levels of JJK. It doesn't have to reach the levels of Naruto or One Piece or Demon Slayer.
I think a lot of people's problem is that they think, like, when they put out their work, if it's not reaching those levels, like a lot of people, they think like they failed. And I keep trying to tell people that, like, just because you're not selling thousands and thousands and thousands of your book all the time doesn't mean you can't make a living off your work. I mean, you don't have to be ranking in $100,000 a year off your comics to be, successful. Just being able to make 40,000 a year, like a standard job. Like if you make enough where it's job level, then you're good to go. If you're like making $40,000 a year off just your art, that's success. That is success. You know what I mean? People can't generate that much. I don't generate that much. Why do you think I work in a hospital? You don't have to make a whole bunch of money to actually make a living off of your comics. You don't.
It doesn't have to be like any of that. You could still find the same success doing it how you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll still take a massive amount of work,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, you'll own more of it if you go the self-publishing route.
Which is why www.freyofficial.com, I sell my books on my website because I don't want to put it on these other websites and then I only end up getting like $2-3. I get more of the money that I can put back into more projects for y'all and the channel.
And you don't have to get canceled. You can create it as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's
with the
another
rise of indie
Canceling.
animation coming as well, if you have a solid IP or a solid comic that you have made that has a good huge backlog of stuff that people can sink their teeth into and enjoy and escape into, then you have the grounds, the rich soil from which an animation could pop up. And hell, these days, if you have a cool enough style and a strong enough fan base, you can get an animation pilot based on vibes alone. This
Mhm.
show started off as JoJo's gender bent fan art based on Kakyoin and Jotaro, and was this close to being turned into a full-on animated pilot with its own studio and updated characters.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, it was canceled, but I still wish we got to see the full show. And then from there, animation like gets out to more people, and then from there you could spin off into a game, you could spin off into whatever. And even though it's a longer timeline, it could be anywhere from 10 to 15 years of creating the same work. The alternative would be maybe 5 to 10 years doing back-breaking, soul-crushing, week-to-week manga in Japan, where you don't know the language, you don't know their culture as well. And if you're trying to write and draw a comic for them, they might just cancel it if it's not doing good enough sales. So,
well, I will say partially right. You can apply those standards to yourself and just put out, do self-publishing and apply the same Japanese standards of weekly chapters. You could do that. I don't recommend it, but you could do that for yourself. You don't need to go to Japan to do that, right? You can just self-publish and keep yourself held to those standards and get more work out there. In fact, that's what about probably be about like 2 or 3 books a year for you to go sell if you actually did that. But like I said, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. You need a life outside of just sitting here drawing. Um, you're gonna drive yourself crazy doing that. But I think a chapter a month would be good. I think a chapter a month is actually very, very doable, to be quite honest. Um, so yeah, I don't agree wholeheartedly there. Like you don't have to go to Japan to have those standards as the Japanese. And if you do it independently, you can actually get your work out there a lot quicker. And you don't have to worry about the cancellation.
So instead of competing over there on
Weird
their
cut.
home court where they have the advantage, you can find success on your own if you know how to market and you know how to get attention on social media.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I'll just be learning for as long as I'll be drawing, so that one
You'll get
day
there.
I can turn my own projects into hopefully a decent sized franchise with a fandom and people who will enjoy it.
Amen.
And if you'd like to check out my latest webcomic, it's called
Saintly.
It is a demon chase horror action comedy about two best friends who have to outrun the demon loan sharks that they borrowed from. Basically, it's like Scooby-Doo meets
scary.
K-pop Demon Hunters without the K-pop. And the
Okay. Ken, my friend. This is not obsession. Like, I'm gonna need you to stop creepily sitting in the dark, promoting your comic. That's very creepy, sir. That's very creepy.
story backs the main character into a corner where she has to decide between the hard path to success or lose her soul to the
This
lure
art
of
looks
easy
very
money.
awesome. I love
And
his
we get to
style.
see the ramifications of her choice, and if she can hide this deal with the devil from her friend, or if it will tear them apart.
Those black and white pages kind of remind me like a hint of Sin City. It's like a manga Sin City. It's pretty cool. I like his style a lot. Please go over to ComicKen and subscribe to him. His he always has like these thought pieces, and you get to see this really cool work of his.
And I hope you read my comic in the description and check out the story.
I feel like it's not mutual. Bro, you cannot be Nikki. You cannot be sitting in the dark like this, bro. You can.
It should appear in your email inbox or your spam folder if you don't see it. And that's all for this video.
There we go. Welcome back
Thank
to
you
the
for
light.
watching. I hope you have a great project in mind, and I wish you the best of luck with getting it out there. So please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
I got you, bro. Awesome.
Hey guys.
Oh, hey. We don't play it twice, sir. We'll just pump your brakes. Anyway, so yeah, interesting. But here's the thing: like, even though he titled the video that, it didn't seem like he really meant it that way, because he spoke a lot on wanting to have people feel his stories and feel something just like Naruto and stuff like that, and how the Japanese can, pull that emotion out of people. So it's basically what I said earlier, right? You want your story to go out there and make people feel something, but you want to be famous and have money. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't understand. Like I said, I never understand the whole I need to be a starving artist. And it's not, there's no, the money does not important. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Money gets you a lot of places. If not, in certain circles, at least it takes care of your life. Like, like it's nothing wrong with money. It's what you do with the money. And if you are one of those people who are like, money's the root of all evil, get money, get money, and then do good things with the money. Like, I don't understand. It's just like like people are like, oh, we should ban things. No, you need to get one and, just do protective things with it. Protect people with it. Be a responsible owner. Like, I don't understand. So if you like, instead of blaming the inanimate object that has no will of its own and can only operate when someone else operates it, maybe you just be responsible with it, and maybe you just do good things with it instead of, demonizing it. But yeah, Comic Ken, like I said, go over there, subscribe. He always has like little deep thought pieces, and he's not as vulgar or not as mean. I know a lot of people care about that. uh, but he always has pieces like that. And then, you can look at his live streams, which I should be doing, of artwork. That would be nice if I actually did that. But yeah, you can see his wonderful saintly and all that other stuff. So it's free. I'm out again. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. And if you want to support my channel and my artwork, freyofficial.com. I got books. He threw up his book, so I'm gonna throw up my book. This is what I'm promoting the most because it's 600 pages, and you also get like commentary. You get like commentary from me. I'm trying to find one of the commentary pages. Please show me the commentary pages. Show me the commentary pages. I'll just go. There's bonus stuff in here. Let's see. There we go. You got like bonus stuff in here. Information. You got 3 volumes. Go over to freyofficial.com. Go get yourself a copy of it. And you know, or you can get the singles 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all available. But that's it. Have a good day, and keep creating and keep valuing yourself. See you later.